What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my next video. In this video I'm going to be drawing Musashi Miyamoto, and I'm using Figurosity to kind of get a general idea of what I'm going to do for the pose. So right now I'm doing that same head method that you see me work on the last video with the triangle shape and everything, and I'm following the picture, trying to get a general idea of where to pose the figure as far as placing the circles for the shoulders and putting the hand where I want the sword to go. And I kind of put the hand there first before I start adding in the rest of the arm, so I can kind of know where to place the arm and get it correctly placed where the head is. Kind of like it's kind of a way to measure it. And as you also see, you see that I kind of made the character is more bulkier anyway, and in the picture the figures is a little more skinnier, so I kind of had to adjust to that when I'm doing this picture. And I'm kind of winging it as I go along, because I want to make it look different than what the pose is in the picture, but while also keeping to the pose. And so right now I'm adding in the hand, and it's kind of a way of, sometimes you may get artist block where you're running out of poses and you don't know which pose to do, and you kind of just have to use either Figurosity or something else to kind of get that pose in, to get like a general idea, get the juices flowing as far as trying to throw something down really quick and change things along the way. You might want to change the hand placement or the head placement or something like that, but you at least have a starting point when you're throwing the pose together. Because when I do this character, I said, well, I've been drawing Baki and Baki's father for a while, and I said, well, let me just draw some of the other characters from the TV show, which is why I ended up drawing this one. And I haven't seen too many drawings on this guy, so I said, well, I'll throw him in there. And so right now I'm adding in detail for the face, and also the type of paper that I'm using is probably one of my favorite types of paper to use, especially since I was planning on using Copics markers for this. And whenever you use pencil, it kind of leaves like a little pencil glare, which you'll probably see right now, where I'm raised the paper up and it's like a little glare where the head is. But only because the paper it's a real smooth paper, but I like it because when you use your markers, and you can use multiple layers, and when you're using constant layers, you're not tearing the paper's not tearing apart, and the colors actually blend real well, which is why it's like that. But excuse why there's like a glare where the head is. But I like the paper though. It's kind of my general thing for using when I'm blending markers. So right now I'm adding detail to the face, and I think I also changed the angle later on because I didn't want the glare to be like in the full video, so I changed the angle of the video just so you can kind of see the face a little bit better when I'm adding in the pen. So right now getting the chest in and trying to add all the details that I see on Musashi's his picture, as far as the scars and muscle structure and everything. And also don't forget to hit that like button also. Now for this part, I'm adding in the scar on his face, and I'm putting in the kind of circles where his knuckles are. I know that in the show, or even the mangas, that's pretty popular, how they have these huge knuckles. Getting in the clothing, and right now I think I pretty much have a general idea of where I'm going to go with this. I'm kind of just adding in more details and darkening up some lines before I start throwing some ink in. And so right now I'm using a rubber eraser to lighten up all the lines before I start adding in the ink. And it's kind of a way that I like to use, eraser I like to use, because it doesn't cause a mess, and you're kind of just going over it once over, and you can go over light as you want, and there's no debris of eraser that's all over the place. So right now I'm going in with the inks, adding in that fine detail. I'm trying to sometimes when I'm going over the lines, I kind of will make changes also, because like I mentioned in my other videos before, like I'll change some things, whether a line or the pencil line from the arm could be going one direction. I may want to change it to a different direction using the pen, and kind of make like my final changes with the pen. Only difference with using the pen and working digitally, I know, is when you're working digitally, it's more forgiving on mistakes, and you can kind of just go back and hit undo. But it's a little harder with the pen, where with the pen you have to kind of just, sometimes I may use whiteout depending on how bad the mistake is, and usually you probably won't be able to notice it, but if the mistake is too big and I'm using whiteout, then it's just going to get kind of a little bit crazy. But more likely, especially when I'm taking it to digital anyway, when I'm adding the colors into it, usually you won't really notice the whiteout, because you'll kind of be able to fix that in Photoshop. So right now I'm adding in the scar on the face, dropping in some more details for the ears. I'm kind of using the I think this is a 0.3 pen for the scars. I usually use like a 0.3 for the scars, and then a 0.5 for the outline, and sometimes I use a 0.3 for the inside of the line, and I probably use I may use a 0.5 for the inside line too, depending on how fast I'm going with the strokes. Now for the clothing, I'm using a brush pen, and for me it's kind of an easy way of getting in the clothing, because it's kind of easier to do wrinkles that way in clothing with the brush pen. Using the brush pen, and when I use the brush pen, I usually use it for the hair and the clothing, and send some dark shadows mainly. And with this particular pen, you can kind of get those real sharp shadows with. So right now I'm just putting in shadows, trying to find out where I would think the wrinkle will go. Coming out of my head, I'm just based on my knowledge of wrinkles, I'm just getting in as I go along. The crevices, I'm trying to avoid that white part. It's kind of where the strap is on his kimono outfit. Didn't want to ink that over that, or ink over it. And usually for the hair, I'd get kind of some general brush strokes getting the hair, where it's just darker closer to the head and lighter as it's going up. And then depending on where the light is going, sometimes when I'm doing hair, I kind of just won't ink the areas where light will hit, and just darken the areas where I think the shadows will go. But in this particular character, his hair is usually jet black, so I'm just going for some jet black strokes. But that's it for this video. If you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy the rest of the video. Take care.